I don't know. It takes 10 seconds for my brain to start when I see the record button, but I'm here from the hat, and we are talking by choice, chosen by random. And today I have the special privilege of having Mary Truths on. She's famous on the Instagram and the YouTube. She just talks truths, also known as crazy. No, she's amazing. She has great points of views. She paid me a lot of money to say she's beautiful. And we're gonna talk today. Mary, are you excited?
I'm excited. Let's do this.
Let's do it. All right. So as you know, if you've been listening to the show and you're got this far in all the episodes, we literally choose randomly from the hat. I'm gonna move my hand around. I'm doing it. I'm not. This isn't predetermined. Mary, why don't you tell me when?
Stop.
Okay. All right. Uh-oh. Magic number ocho.
That's
See,
cute.
I did that in El Español. Not that I speak El Español. Unless I go, oh, you speak Spanish? Mucho. All right. I'm sorry. telling someone who speaks Spanish that means a lot. All right. Okay. So, do you see what I did there? That's fun. All right. Number ocho. Let's see. Number 8 is going to be cancel culture. Oh, accountability and overreach. So, as you know, now we get to read what the subject is. Cancel culture is seen by some as a necessary means of holding people accountable, while others view it as an overreach that stifles free expression. Where should the line be drawn between accountability and overreaction? As always, I give the floor to the guest. What are your thoughts? That's exciting.
I think you should be able to say whatever you want, even if it means hurting somebody else's feelings. As long as you're not actually doing anything physically to hurt anybody, I don't think it really matters.
Like if you're not punching somebody.
Yeah. No cancel culture.
No cancel. Now, if somebody, if like, for example, a lot of people have been canceled because, and rightfully so, they took advantage of other people because they were in a place of power. And then there was some physical intimacy that wasn't so intimate on one side of the wagon. Do you think it's okay that they are canceled and dragged through the mud and eventually thrown in prison? You know, like what's his face? Danny Masterson. He was given 30 years in prison. His career was ended because he did something terrible. He did the big R word. We can't say it on this channel. There's a couple of R words you're not allowed to say, but one we don't want to get the episode because I need the money. I need the sponsorships. In that case, do you agree that is an okay scenario where somebody is like, you know what, forget this person, let's get out of there? Okay,
so he committed a crime.
A crime.
Yeah, no crime.
You're done. But but you're on the line. Well, you're over the line. In the if they just say something, they shouldn't be canceled for just saying something. And I agree with that. I stand with you. Freedom of speech. Well, freedoms in general. Anything that is part of the freedoms that we can entail. It doesn't mean you shouldn't be free of consequence of what you say. However, I think the best way to just be like, forget this person is just to ignore them. Like, if you don't agree with them, just ignore them. Like, oh, I don't like what they said. So there's a lot of people in entertainment, you know, there's shows that I don't watch, and it has nothing to do with anything that they've done in their life other than I'm just not interested in what the show is about. So in a way, I'm canceling, right? Because I'm like, I'm not going to support this. But to go out of your way to be like, well, I don't agree with that show or what they're saying, or the actors on the show said something 13 or 14 or even 100 years ago or even 1 year ago. And it's like, well, that show shouldn't be on the air because of my feelings.
I mean, you can complain about it all you want. You can do that. That's, again, freedom of speech. Complain about it if you don't agree with the show, by all means. But, you shouldn't actively try to cancel somebody, literally, and ruin their livelihood because you don't like them.
Should people who actively try to cancel be canceled themselves? Like, should it be just a cancel of cancellation? Should be like, no. I cancel you and then cancel me.
No, because we're canceling people. There should not be any canceling unless you actually did something wrong.
Now, what if somebody's verbiage, again, we already know my position, but what if somebody's verbiage is it denigrates a group of people? You know, for example, Kevin Hart. We've talked about this on another show, an episode, but Kevin Hart said something a long time ago about the LGBTQ community. It was a joke about his son. Like if his son ever came out as gay, he'd, that's not happening, basically, right? So he lost the Oscars. He lost the opportunity to host the Oscars, right? There was
That's wild.
It was wild, right? So if somebody uses that kind of speech, do you feel it should people should actively try to cancel someone like that? Is it as bad as being physically horrible to someone?
No, because it's comedy. Like comedy's supposed to be like taboo and controversial, and it's like you're supposed to be talking about the elephant in the room and making it funny. Like this guy Andrew Schultz, is that his name? Andrew Schultz? Schultz. Okay, I knew I was butchering that. So this guy literally made a joke about pedophilia, and it actually was funny, but he was talking about pedophilia.
Oh, is that when somebody feels your toes while they're doing your feet? You know, because it's
yes,
they're doing a pedicure.
Right? Forgot about the cancel censorship thing, but yeah, like
what is pedophilia for anyone who's listening? Is it something you could purchase at the store? How does it work?
It's definitely not something you can purchase at the store.
Well, it depends if you're a Toys R Us or not.
Yeah, I can't believe Toys R Us is gone.
I know. Crazy. KB Toys? Let's go to KB Toys.
Crazy. Insane. But yeah, like it's funny. It's freaking funny. Dave Chappelle, he also did a joke about the LGBTQ community. It was funny. It was dark, but it was funny. That's what makes it, it's like darkness and funny intertwined with each other in comedy.
What was his joke?
Yeah, I don't think I put it. I don't think I can say here, but definitely.
So it's too dark for anyone to say it, but Dave Chappelle.
Yes, exactly, because he's he made it.
He's a comedian. He's having a voice.
Exactly.
As somebody who was in the comedy industry for 10 plus years, our job isn't to say things that are taboo. Our job is to be the voice of the times, right? Okay. To create an artistic perspective of basically observation, to articulate the abstract or absurd and put it into the light of perspective, right? Like our job is not to avoid the line. It is to cross the line, but also we as comedians need to know when we have crossed the line and then ventured into a world where no one should really be just because we can get there. Like comedians do have rules to themselves. We're not purposely going up there going, they were Mexicans, like, and did I get a reaction? Like people don't, like that isn't really what comedy is. Comedy has an intellect to it, even when you're saying things that might be considered immature or stupid. And that's the difference between like a 1-year comedian and someone who's been doing it for 10 years. The dial, for example, Louis C.K. or he might say something that seems kind of malicious or sexual or inappropriate. But if you put that same kind of material into the hands of like a first-year comic, they're not going to be able to portray the nuance of that subject in a way that makes people think and laugh. George Carlin's was George Carlin's because he was smart with what he was saying. But he also has a joke where he goes, pussy farts. No one really talks about that anymore. I mean, like that's a joke inside, and he's used it twice. He used it as in the middle of one of his specials, and then he used it as like the opening to a special. So, again, time and place, right?
But even like, let's say at the end of the day, it's a comedy, the comedian's choice to like say whatever they want and they think it's funny. So if somebody decides to allow their emotions to get in the way, then it's not the comedian's fault. It's the person who, let their feelings get hurt. Like you're going to a comedy club, they're going to say outlandish shit. You just got to be prepared for it. It is what it is.
It's like turning on Dave Chappelle and being like, I hope he doesn't say anything inappropriate. And they're like, oh, he did. Like comics aren't there. They're not there to cater to certain communities. I mean, I was with this woman. I have to say that she was black for the understanding of the story, for 5.5 years. And during that time, occasionally Chris Rock would come out with a comedy special, and I'd be sitting in the room surrounded by the family, which would be a black family. And I am Sicilian, so I am Mediterranean. I don't consider myself white, but I was the palest person in the room. And Chris Rock was saying a lot of jokes that might not really be considered my forte, right? Because certain words and certain cultures, upbringings didn't really hit me when I was younger. So I have to sit there and I have to like be like, can I laugh? Am I not laugh? And at one point, the mother was like, you know, you could laugh at these jokes. We're not going to judge you. But, you know, nowadays it's like, well, I feel uncomfortable, so Chris Rock shouldn't say those jokes. And like, to me, I think that would be insane. But instead, I got to have this really beautiful, intimate moment with a family that was just really sincere, you know, where they're just like, stop it, you know, just laugh, just have, it's jokes, stupid jokes.
About, bro.
Yeah, that's what comedy should be about. You know, it's just bringing people together to laugh and just be like, But again, you know, if a comic is, there is a difference between working a joke and then like, I don't care what people feel and think, I'm just going to use this joke, you know, because even Jerry Seinfeld, you know, he was doing a joke. There's a movie he did called The Comedian or something like that. And it's just him going through, throwing out all his material and then starting from scratch and trying to create a new special. But they made a movie about the process. And I believe it's called The Comedian. And while he's on stage, he's like telling a joke, but he's literally working a joke. And it's not funny. The rhythm is weird. The pacing is weird. People are like, this isn't good. Like, why would you go on stage? And he goes, I have to go on stage to work the joke. And I think in that situation, when comedians are in the process of developing not only their voice, not that Seinfeld was developing his voice, but more so that they're developing their voice, but also they're working out the rhythm of those jokes, the word choices, how the words come out, the body language. And that takes time and effort. And you might start off with, they were Mexicans, but then you might end up with something so beautifully nuanced that doesn't even touch on that anymore because you found something of substance. And you can't get there if you're being canceled or afraid or scared to try things, to see, because in your mind, you don't know what works and doesn't work until you say it. You know, obviously know the room. Again, if you and I were hanging out, you know, and we just started saying things like, we should burn buildings down, and we're near people who just dealt with like their building burning down, we have bad timing. You know, like we just messed up. And we go, I'm sorry, I didn't understand, I didn't know, but you know, again, I'm not going to stop saying we should burn buildings down. But at the same time, you do have to have some sort of empathy. But if, again, you were right. If you go to a comedy club, I don't need empathy. You've entered my room. You came to me, you know?
Exactly.
Sorry, I ramble sometimes when I'm
Exactly.
What's that, Parkinson's?
Nothing wrong. It's Cubans saying exactly. They don't use the
Cuba.
X. They say ES. Exactly.
Exactly. Now, Cuba is Cuba. So is Cuban? You know, because you don't say Cuba. Because if you say Cuba, am I correct in saying that's the mispronunciation? It's supposed to be Cuba?
It is supposed to be Cuba.
It's Cuba, right? So does that mean Cuban is Cuban? Technically,
yeah.
All right.
But it doesn't sound the same.
I know, but just remember, I'm pale, and I knew that. And I didn't even have to do my research. I just understand.
Bro, you've been talking to a Cuban for like 5 years or something.
5 years? Damn.
No,
damn. Did you swim here? How'd you get here?
I did not swim here. My father did, though.
So you're an American.
Yes, I'm American.
Do you like it?
Here. Yes, I do. I came here on a plane.
Why? Bougie. When you can fly in the plane, you know, how did you hold on? Were there straps? You're right. Like, what's the deal? You know, that's a George Carlin joke.
Oh, that was good.
You didn't get on the plane. Fuck you. I'm getting in the plane. Man.
You get it. Okay. I flew here.
Oh, are your arms tired? Hey-o. All right. So you've gone back to Cuba in your lifetime?
One time.
One time. How old were you?
13.
13. Why'd you come back?
Like, why did I go back to Cuba?
No, like, why are you like, Cuba, I'm going home?
Because the only reason why I went in the first place is because my dad's dad, my grandpa, had passed away.
What poppy?
When did he pass? I was 13. I think he passed away like a year or 2 years prior. So we wanted to go back and like, see the family or whatever. And I hadn't seen them since I left at 4. So I don't remember anything or the country itself. So I went back. It was definitely a shock to see how people live. It gives you a big reality check on like how good we have it here, like huge. My
What's
family.
the big difference other than medical that some people don't believe everyone should have?
Everything, like so they don't have any money over there. So like, yeah, they have like free medicine, but there's no resources to get medicine or to do like
That's why it's free. You're like, yeah, sure, you want medicine? It's free, but we don't have Advil.
Yeah, we don't have anything. They don't have basic stuff. So like water, you can't just drink from your tap like you can do here. You have to boil your water over there or get it bottled water, which is really expensive.
You got to do that in Ohio also.
Oh no,
you can't drink from the faucet. You have to get
because of what happened.
Yeah, you got to. Well, even before that, the fracking and all the other stuff. But so here's a question I have about free medical. Imagine, for example, hypothetically speaking, we were not clothed in houses, shirts, pants, the security of, say, an infrastructure, but instead we lived in caves. And our clan or people or tribe or vagabonds, we're all together trying to survive. So, you have, multiple families are a part of this group, right? If one of those people got hurt or sick, would it be appropriate to just excommunicate them from the clan because they don't deserve to be helped? Should they be killed because they're just going to take away from the resources of healthy people? Or do you think it would be valuable to help them as best you could, despite the fact that A, there's no such thing as money there, B, it's the right thing to do, and C, I would want them to try to help me if I got hurt. What are your thoughts on that?
I think you should totally heal a person. That should be
that should be the priority, right? Like,
yeah, that should be a value in any tribe, clan.
So like community should be like, how do we help one another? How do we heal one another? No matter what. Do you believe in free medical? Medicare.
The tradition was great, but I'll tell you why I don't. Even though I do
think that person in the cave should die.
No, I definitely don't think he should die. But then again, they're using natural medicine because they're in a cave and nature is abundant. So
yeah, they knew medicine back then.
yeah, they had medicine back then. It was just not the same medicine that we have now.
Yeah,
now it's pharmaceutical companies.
They were washing each other in mud.
Bro, their skin must have been flawless. All right, so the reason why I don't believe, it's not that I don't believe in it 100%. I understand that you need to have Medicare, Medicaid for people that need it, especially the elderly. However, I worked with the Affordable Care Act, which is, Medicaid, Obamacare, and I don't think it's actually helpful for people to use. Like, for example, if you want to have, I don't know, let me think of Oscar, which is Obamacare, you're paying like
it's Affordable Care Act. It's not called Obamacare. It's called Affordable Care Act.
I know, but people don't know it as the ACA. They know it as Obamacare.
We got to educate them.
Okay. So Obamacare is the ACA, which is the Affordable Care Act. But what I don't like about it is that you're paying like something really cheap. Let's say if you're working, you got to pay, obviously. So you're paying like a super cheap premium, but the doctors that you have are garbage. versus.
I agree with that. Wait, before you go any further, because that's a little off topic. What I'm saying is free.
Okay, so as far as free
medicine.
Medicare, I understand. Yeah. But I don't like that once you're on Medicare, you cannot go to any other insurance. I don't like that. Because it only forces them to stick to Medicare, and Medicare, frankly, is not quality medical. And when you're at the age that you're 65 and over, you should have quality medical, you know.
Well, Medicaid and Medicare, like
and Medicaid is just terrible.
Well, I was saved on free medical. You know, that's how they found my cancer. They took care of me. I didn't have to pay for anything. They did all the checkups.
It's beneficial, you know, in that sense. Like if you can get it and you're like on, you know, a death experience, and yeah, for sure. But a lot of people are using Medicaid as a means to just have some type of health insurance when that's not really.
It should be available. It should be available to them. Because the argument is, should we have free medical, period? Because at minimum, our goal, our purpose in life is to grow as a community and help one another. So if we go back to the cave scenario, if again, free, not paying doctors,
it's not really free because we're all paying for it.
Of course we are, and we should, because helping.
But then we shouldn't call it free. Free is how the caves had it. They had it free, you know.
No, they didn't, because they had to put. No, it was time, effort, and resources. So that was the cost of it.
Well, in their sense, yeah, time
right?
is.
So yeah, time, right? In reality, think of it this way. Like I've always, because education was free for a long time. I don't know if you know that. Like there was a certain period where even the colleges were free. Like it was, you know, the benefit of education is probably, it absolutely outweighs ignorance, you know, and I'm not talking about going to college to be like, I'm going to get my degree in arts. Like, you know, that's not what I'm talking about. But it could be, you know, like if you want to go and just learn how to work a camera, you'd probably learn better in the industry, honestly. But that's a whole other argument. At minimum, the human existence should have medical and education, just the minimum, because education will help lead to advancements that might take us away from something as simple as currency. It might take us away from the need for medicine. It might take us away from the need of certain resources. You know, like the more paths to intellect and the more paths to growing as a community, just of thinkers, elevate us.
I get what you mean as far as like we do need education and we do need medical in order to you know grow as human beings, but that's all like individual, and I don't believe that the government should be managing somebody's individual, you know, decisions. Like medical is an individual decision. Education is an individual decision. The reason why I don't agree with free, even though it's not really free, you're paying for it, is because a lot of people take advantage of that. So yeah, it did help your family, God bless, but a lot of people take advantage of that, the fact that it is that you don't have to pay for it, you know, like your years and years and years with Medicaid. And
let's back up a little bit, because you're talking about something, you're talking more modern days. What I'm saying is back in the day, colleges and universities were free.
What year was that? Because I came in 2000.
Let's see. What year was college free? Before the 1960s.
Okay.
Yeah, universities and public universities and college tuition were free, especially in the United States.
Oh, public. Okay.
Yeah, but those are still so. But they're also throughout Europe and all other, like even
interesting.
Rome,
I wonder why they changed their.
Because 1960s, you could just connect the dots.
Interesting. I actually want to look into that.
Yeah, look into that. But so a lot of the colleges and things like that were financed by people who just kind of invested it, or you know, wealthy people because they fueled the systems because they believed in education. That's how it originally was done. But as these generations had died off, and you know, there are, even though there's more wealthy people in the world, there are less generational contributions to these universities. So now government had to get involved, and that's where we start losing. That's where you start coming in with the, well, we're paying for the education. So, the argument isn't necessarily like, well, where are we getting the money? We're paying for that. The argument is, should we have free education and free medical? And the answer should be yes. And then it's like, well, how do we afford that? And in reality, it should be something that it goes back to, volunteer work, or even, like, for example, cancer, right? They don't get all their cancer money from the government. They get it from doing fundraising. They do it from nonprofits.
Nonprofits, NGOs. Mm-hmm.
So education and medical should be founded or funded through these volunteer programs, these nonprofit programs, these, raising money, things like that. So if we're going to talk, who's going to pay for it? Like, honestly, if we just went back to the system of caring, if I had the money, I would donate. If I had the money to donate like that, I would donate millions of dollars to education and health. I know for cancer, MS, and other, even lung diseases now at this point, I would donate to those things. Yes, for a selfish reason, because I hate seeing people I love be slowly murdered by cancer. B, I had to watch my father suffocate with the same lung disease that I have now. And it's like, it is selfish for me to invest into that. But if I had the resources to invest in that, it should be available to people, because no one should have to watch people suffer like that. But I do agree with you on the sense of like, well, we got to pay for it. Like, like it comes from the government. It's our tax money. Like, I understand that position. My position is, well, let's get the government out of it then. Let's find ways and find.
I agree. We should totally take the government out of it.
No, well,
that's probably the problem. That's probably the problem.
The government is good for handling the infrastructure 101. Like,
which they're doing really bad at.
It depends what you think bad is. I mean, you're not living on the street, right?
Oh, and yeah, that's my doing, though. That has nothing to do with the government.
That's what you're doing. You're working within a system. So,
well, but it doesn't mean why I have.
Are you living in a house?
No, a condo. Close enough.
Well, you have a condo, right? Do you have electricity?
Yes.
That's government.
Isn't that a private corporation? Federal, what FPL is? That's what I have. FPL. What is that? I'm pretty sure it's private. I think that's federal. I can be wrong. I have no idea. Fact check me real quick.
Government. They are ran as a division of local government.
Oh, look at that. Okay. So yeah.
However, there are public electricity utilities, but they are like, like, for example, the company that delivers my gas or my electricity or the water, right? Like, there are private companies that might be like a third party to the government system, but water, filtration and electric and stuff like that, that is controlled, or at least ran. However, the Federal Reserve is a private company and not actually federal.
What I don't understand is, why is electricity government funded? Like, government,
because it's part of infrastructure.
Isn't that? I don't know why I feel like that.
You think it's not infrastructure?
No, I don't know. Like, it just kind of low key bothers me that the government.
Well, what do you think infrastructure is first? Like roads, maybe? Do you think roads?
Yeah, I never thought of it. I never thought of electricity.
Well, that leads to the question: how do you get to work? Do you drive on roads, or do you have to fly over them? Is it dirt roads? Do you have to go through the woods?
Yeah, like the roads, the bridges. Like, I understood.
What about the buses? Do you use buses?
Yeah, no. I don't.
You use buses, right? So
I don't.
You don't use, but people do use buses. Have you ever used the bus?
Never. No.
What?
No.
In Miami?
No, not in Miami.
Oh, no, maybe not Miami. But my point is, if you went to public school, government, that's right. So, and that's also a democratic socialist program, just for the record. It is not considered socialism, but it is democratic socialism, which is based on FDR, and technically his wife actually is the one who helped with those programs, such as WIC and other things during the time.
I'm not a fan of FDR.
Well, I heard he was a stand-up guy, but he couldn't.
I heard he was a socialist.
No, he was a democratic socialist, which is not the same as socialist. You got to look up the definition.
It has the word in the word.
Yeah, but that doesn't. That's like saying, you're a racist, and you go, no, I'm not, but I saw you running. Oh, it sounds the same, so it's identical.
I mean, he believed in socialist programs. That makes him a socialist. That's what socialism is. You believing in socialist program, which, I mean, by all means, he gave us.
I mean, you believe in socialist programs as well.
I do believe in socialist programs for sure.
So who would you call if your house was going to burn down?
But
who would you call if the house was it was burning down?
The fire department.
You can't call. No, because you're not allowed to believe in socialist programs. Who are you going to call if somebody is trying to kill you?
I mean, we're paying for them. I have to use them.
But
I'm paying for
if
them.
You don't believe in those programs, to get rid of them,
I would have to literally leave and live off grid if I had that mentality. I can't be that extremist.
I'm saying. Yeah,
like, I can't be extremist, but I can definitely say that I don't agree with FDR.
What? Are you like, FDR is such an evil man, and him and his wife created such a system that it needs to be started over?
No, I don't.
We don't need firemen.
I just think he was a socialist, and
but that's
probably was the reason why we had term limits, because before him, I don't think we even had any term limits. But guy was in there for like 3 terms. Thanks to not thanks to polio, but
he would have been there for 4 terms.
Exactly.
But yeah, we created. Actually, it was the president after him that we created term limit, I believe, right?
Yeah, because that guy
president was term limits created. I think it was the good. Yeah, it was Harry Truman. So it was directly after him. But
makes sense.
So
Roosevelt,
just because I don't mind people randomly saying stuff, but I am on brand. I don't believe in misinformation or misleading people or what's the word? Misconceptions. So your statement is FDR is a socialist.
Was.
Do you believe that is true?
That he was a socialist?
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, if I can give you information that would suggest that is incorrect, will you no longer believe he is a socialist?
No.
So the earth is flat. He was not a socialist, though he never used the term socialism in his speech. Roosevelt anger at those who accused him of ideology motivations of applying the economic theory that was an anthem to the United States exploited the lectern. So people accused him of being a socialist.
I wonder why.
But again, I could call you a racist if you're running and you say, I'm not a racist. And I go, but you are running, and therefore
everybody's a little racist inside.
No, I can't even walk.
At least Hispanics are for sure. I don't know, but any other Hispanics are for sure.
The El Spanos. But anyway, all right. Just for anyone listening, FDR is not or was not a socialist. However, Mary Truth believes it is, and that's okay. She can go the rest of her life.
I'm sure you can find information to counteract that. I just don't have any right now off rip, because I would have to be really good at technology, and I am not,
Why do people believe FDR is a socialist?
Yeah, bro. Like, look it up. Wasn't he like super cool with like Russia at the time?
No, that is incorrect. Where are you getting your information?
I'm just talking shit right now.
Can I say that? The Russians.
Can I say that shit and stuff like that?
No, they were having problems with the Russians. Do you know when FDR was president?
Oh, God.
Do you know when FDR was president? I'll give you a hint.
30s?
30s to 45. What happened in that time frame where Americans didn't necessarily appreciate the Russians? What potential thing was happening somewhere between 1933 and literally to the 1945?
War.
What war specifically?
World War II.
That's right. The Second World War with Germany. And Russia was trying to take over land again that was occupied by Germany, that was lost by Germany. And a lot of art and other things were confiscated by the Russians that the Americans were trying to get as quick as possible. They got some of it, but Roosevelt was not friends with the Russia. Look, I don't mind anybody having ideas and thoughts. However, there are books. And if you could read 3 books from 3 different perspectives, the things that are always true are the repetitive elements of those items. So if someone's against somebody and someone's for somebody, there's going to be a cross. And once you hear that cross talk, like, for example, if somebody said, Roosevelt is a socialist, and you're like, and someone goes, no, he's not a socialist. So now we have to look up him being socialist. So then you do the research. So that's how you do deep research. You find opposing views, you read those articles or those ideas or those books, and then you write down everything that corresponds, like the repeating words, because there's some truth in things that repeat. And then you start doing research on those repeats, and then I'll tell you the real truth. It's like when someone tells me
I'm gonna look deep into FDR and I'm gonna prove my point.
I would actually, honestly, I would, as friends, I would appreciate you doing deep dives, not necessarily in FDR, but if anybody has the ability to have an audience and influence on that audience, it's important to. I had this person once say they just read an article, literally just read the article, and they pushed away from the table and they tell me, did you know that Jupiter does not orbit the sun because of the size of it? It pulls out from the sun and it's a barycenter, and therefore the Jupiter and the sun, also known as Sol, because it's a solar system, move around this barycenter. And I says, well, that may be true, but but Jupiter still orbits the sun. And he says, no. And he became so adamant and so stuck on this article because he read it and he was reciting the information that there was no way that he could be wrong. But not only is Jupiter in the middle of planets and not on the end of the planets, which makes it within the orbit of the sun, but it does indeed go around the sun. So it not only orbits the sun, but it also orbits the barycenter. But the idea that it couldn't do the other thing because I read this information, and that's where debate gets distorted. That's where communication gets distorted. That's where miscommunication comes, and that's where the misleading community becomes isolated in dark histories. Like, for example, saying that Trump being shot was an inside job done by Kamala, and it's like, but I thought it was Biden. Yeah, but he's not running for president anymore, so now it's her. She was actually, and you're like, come on. Come on. There was a guy that was being interviewed, and he's like, and I apologize for saying her name wrong, but it's Kamala, so that's Kamala, but it might be Kamala. I'm not trying to butcher a name. People butcher my last name. It's Bellezza. Bellezza. Because of the Z. Bellezza. But anyway.
I always thought it was Bellezza.
Bellezza. Well, it might be in your dialect, but in Italiano. Italia. It's Tommaso Joseph Bellezza. So anyway, the person being interviewed said Kamala is the worst person who has ever ran for president, right? And then somebody was like, weren't you just saying that Biden was the worst president running for? Yeah, but he's not running. So, and then the person was like, now the worst part about it is I got to buy more hate speech and more anti propaganda for this candidate because Biden decided to drop out. And I think he dropped out to help me lose money. And like, that's crazy talk. That is as if Biden was going, that one person that I don't know who's walking around the streets of wherever selling shirts, I have to drop out because of that person, so I can make them lose money. Like, that line of thinking is not considered. Do you think that person's right? That Biden saw this random stranger who doesn't have an audience, doesn't have a platform, saw that one person, and that was the deciding factor of dropping out of the race to make sure that this one stranger lost the money in there, just this person. Do you think that is the reason Biden dropped out?
No. I think the reason Biden dropped out
that's
is because they told him to drop out.
What?
And they told him to drop out because he's old. He was supposed to have never even been in the first place. Poor guy, man. He deserves to be like at a beach somewhere, you know.
I don't know if he was never supposed to be.
Yeah, I don't think
the second running, he made the right move. He stepped down. But for that guy to go around and say something like that, wouldn't that be considered insane?
I mean, I guess.
So you agree with him? You think he's right?
I mean, listen, bro.
Do you think he's right? Do you think
no
that guy's
just?
Well, you got to say it. You got to say you do not agree with that guy's words.
Wait, so what is the guy? What the guy thinks he's the reason
why
why
thinks Biden dropped out on purpose because of him, because he had put so much money into merchandise that was anti-Biden, and he lost thousands of dollars because of it. So he believes Biden dropped out of the race only.
Yeah, definitely has nothing to do with him, but it's pretty wild how people think that they're like that, you know.
Yeah, but if that person had an audience and a platform and sprouted this misinformation enough, eventually people would start believing it, because that's how in-print marketing works.
Yeah, that's propaganda for you.
So that goes back to I hope you do research on FDR, not because you should be doing research on FDR, but because by saying he is, without a doubt, there is zero possibility that FDR is not a socialist.
Stuff that has given me that perspective. So I will definitely dig more deep into that. And then, you know, if I can prove my point, great. And if I can, then whatever. I can't.
But are you reading only one perspective? Are you reading he is a socialist information, or are you reading, because in research you
I watch way too many videos to know where I got that from. I don't know why. I feel like it's Thomas Sowell that I got that from, but like I said, I have to, you know, go back and.
Well, it's like scientists. Do you know who Stephen Hawking is?
Yes.
Right, when he discovered the Big Bang Theory, he spent his life trying to disprove it, which is the foundation of education. Like having a stance on something. If you're going to believe something wholeheartedly to where you sprout it, right? This goes back to the cancel culture element. Like if people
we went back to that.
Yeah, it's like those who stand their ground on things, right? And they're just like, but this is what I know. And it's like, but if it's so horrible, don't you want to know more about it to make sure what you're saying has something of value, of you know? And but some people, they watch a couple videos, they maybe read an article on Google, but they're not reading like papers on it. They're not reading investigations. They're not reading, and not that everybody should, but if you're going to have a wholehearted opinion on something, it's easy to just be like, well, this is just what I think, versus, hey, before I start adding to, the pool of misinformation, maybe I should actually, because what you say is the value of who you are. So in cancel culture, if you're doing hate speech and talking about how certain people are horrible and they're for example, if a Republican says all Democrats are evil and a Democrat says all Republicans are evil,
yeah,
that would be misinformation, right?
Correct.
Because not all Democrats are evil, correct?
Right.
And not all Republicans are evil, right?
I mean, Democrat is a label that you're putting on yourself depending on your ideology.
Yeah, but does that make you evil instantly?
No, evil is depending on what you do.
Right. So that's what I mean. Like, but there are people who promote on both sides that if you are not X, then you are evil. Or, you know, your whole goal is to do wrong by people. And it's like, your whole goal is to do wrong by people. And that's the problem with having a voice. That's the problem with having an uninformed opinion, you know? Going, I don't like this person because what I've heard, I just don't agree with. That's one thing. But going out of your way as a group of people or a person with maybe a show, maybe they have a show or whatever the case may be, maybe they're comedy and they're just going, this thing is true and these people are evil. Like, for example, Pizzagate, like that thing needs to stop. You know what I'm saying? Mostly because pizza. Don't mess with my holy grail, right?
The reason, you know why they named it Pizzagate, right?
It's because they're saying the trafficking happens in the back of pizzerias.
It's because pizza is code.
Yeah, give me some pepperoni.
And I don't know if pepperoni is code.
Give me pepperoni. It means give me a little boy. I understand.
That's wild. I know hot dog means that, but pepperoni. Damn.
Yeah, but what's that have to do with pizza?
I don't know.
You know what?
Yeah. I've heard pizza and hot dogs. That's the only code names I know. Maybe pepperoni is one of them. Who knows?
There's I think it's called Loverboy. It's from like the 80s. And if you say extra pepperoni, it means to have this guy come to your house and then he's like a male gigolo and then he sleeps with the girls, the women. They're like, yeah, could I get a extra pepperoni? No. Maybe it's extra sausage. I think it's sausage. Maybe it's really funny. It's from the 80s. It's Patrick Dempsey actually is the Loverboy.
That was those wild times, I bet.
Good times. So anyway, let's wrap because you know try to keep these tight. So just to clarify, when it comes to cancel culture and accountability overreach, do you think people should be just final thoughts? I'm asking you. Do you think people should be held accountable, or is it too much overreach?
Depending on the person
or the situation.
Yeah.
Would the person outweigh the situation, or would the situation outweigh the person? Meaning,
the situation will probably outweigh the person.
Yeah. So, like, if somebody is, say, highly recognized as a good person in the community, let's say they're a priest, and everyone loves them, but they are doing the stereotypical, well, he's a Catholic priest, so you know what's happening. Extra pepperoni. What in that situation, it should be about the situation, not
exactly. Not
the guy from Jersey Shore. We don't care about Jersey Shore. The situation is not into this conversation. You know what I'm talking about?
That's exactly what it should be. Yeah, if the figure is like a super like known figure and they did some crazy stuff that they should not have done that we consider wrong morally, then yes, situation
like FDR. Everything he did was morally wrong.
Don't worry about it, bro. I'm gonna go into that and then we're gonna do another one of these and then we're gonna go back to that conversation.
All right. I will say he did sleep with his cousins. So, and his wife, with research, was into women. So that's interesting too. However, I would do your research. He's
that is very interesting.
I'm just saying his story is pretty fascinating. You know, just everything that's sort of like created around that man and his family. You know, the Roosevelts, just in general, they are.
Theodore Roosevelt was my dog.
Oh, him you like because he was a Republican.
I liked him. The big stick. Yeah.
Is it because he was a Republican or?
Bro, I don't give a shit about that. Like I don't give a shit about Republican or Democrat. I care about your ideologies, but I don't care about your label. You know. So
you can be friends with a Democrat.
Yeah,
as long as friends with ideologies aren't different from yours.
Dude, I have a hardcore socialist friend who I talk to like once a year. He's in Germany. Well, no. Well, he's actually Panamanian.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but he's hardcore socialist, and I'm friends with him. I don't care.
And you're like,
I fight about it all the time, but you know.
Are you like, you're evil?
No, I just freaking call him socialist, and he's like, I am, and I was like, yeah, I know. That's why you're in Germany, not here.
That's why you're in Germany.
He loves Germany.
Who doesn't? Sprechen Sie Deutsch? Ja? Nein, sprechen Sie Deutsch.
I don't know why they I don't know, they kind of creep me out a little bit, but
that's where the English language is derived from, is
super creepy.
The Germanic language. Did you know that? It's also not called Germany, it's called Deutschland. I don't why you people from Germany usually call it Deutschland. Hi, I'm going to Deutschland.
Listen, bro, I went to public school education. I'm gonna call it how, you know, they taught me.
Yeah, but it's sprechen Sie Deutsch.
I didn't even know
German.
I didn't even know that.
Sprechen Sie Italian. Well, again, that goes back to the earlier moment before we end the show, is what we know isn't necessarily always what is true. And that's why if we're going to move forward with the belief of something, like even with faith, like I'm highly religious, but like when my mom started me as a Catholic because of my father and her, I was like, but why? You know, even at a young age. And then when my mom converted to Christianity and became a born again, and my father stayed Catholic, I was like, but I thought Catholicism was the way. You know, no, Jesus is the way. You know, but I have one brother who became a rabbi, and then I have another brother who's joined the Universal Life Church. You know, it's like, all right, so maybe there's something else going on. Like, so I started reading all faiths and all religions, and I realized, you know, we can't just accept the truth. Even when I learn something new, I'm like, well, that's something I got to put in my research box, just because I just want to understand it. You know,
that's what subjective is.
Well, I am trying to become objective.
Not subjective, objective. I was thinking objective and I said subjective.
Yeah. Subjective is FDR is a socialist. Objective.
Yes, that is very subjective. Correct.
Yeah. But mostly because you don't remember your whatchamacallit.
I'm so white right now because of how dark it is outside.
So white. What is your sources? You don't remember your sources. So it's subjective because you don't understand the information enough to have a nuanced argument about it. You know, like if we were talking about Cuba, you might be able to outweigh.
If I would have known we were going to talk about FDR, I would have done a little research. But you know, if you wanted my opinion, I'm going to give you my opinion.
That's fine. That's fine. You can be like, red is blue, and I'd be like, sure, whatever.
Hey man, red and blue together make purple. So is it really red and blue?
And purple, I believe, cancels out yellow. Right?
Oh shit!
Right? Purple cancels out yellow. Well, because I'm going to make a claim. Yeah, yes, purple can cancel out yellow because they are opposite colors on the color wheel. This means that complementary colors cancel each other out by concealing out their wavelengths.
Is it true that white isn't a color?
White is the absence of all color, and black is the combination of every color in the world. However, when you see red, as in what's behind me, you're seeing every color in the world but red, and that's why you recognize red. Also, you seeing this red is only because when you were younger, everyone pointed to the color shade that's behind me as red, and your eyes and brain associate that shade with red. However, because of our cones and all the colors, we aren't necessarily seeing the same red. We are seeing different colors, but we don't know. We just know that's red. There's a crazy theory about that. We've been on for too long. I could look that up, but yeah, it's crazy. Anyway, all right, Mary. How do people find you if you want to be found?
If you want to find me, you know, in case I didn't trigger you or get you upset, it's Mary_Truths on Instagram. YouTube is starting off this Sunday. I'm excited about that. That's Mary Truth Talks on YouTube. And if you want to take care of yourself and get healthy and take care of your mind and body, check out MB Elevate on Instagram.
That's right. And I support her videos, not because she has a fantastic gluteus maximus, where she shows you how to do those squats, lunges, and leg lifts. Look, I know what it is. I watch. I pay attention. I sit there and go, those are nice walls.
Hey, man, you got to take care of the gluteus maximus. They're the largest muscles.
That's right. Plus, you dance, and dancing has nothing to do with the butt. It's all in the hips. It's all actually it's your legs. It's your legs. It's moving your thighs in a certain rhythm to create this salsa.
I concur.
That's right. See, and I'm pale. And how do I know that? Anyway. All right, everyone. Again, this is From the Hat. I'm Thomas J. Bellezza. We are talking by choice, chosen by random. I'll see you next time.
See you guys.